What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, you know that reveal that we were all waiting for? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's here. It's finally here. Alphamon Ouryuken. Now, I'm not a big Digimon lore person, although I am learning every day, but I had a lot of people tell me, Wassy, don't worry, dude. Oh, this one's coming. This one is on the card, and it is coming. It's a level 7. It's a secret rare. And if you're thinking, well, it's probably going to be a pretty exciting card if it's a big level 7 secret rare that we were all waiting for, and the answer is yes. Yes, it is. What we got here is a 15 cost to play normally, 7 cost to Digivolve, 16,000 power. There are very few Digimon that have gotten up to 16,000 power. We just don't generally see it. For a long time, 15,000 power has been the pinnacle of power. That has been the absolute most that we've seen on any Digimon. Now, we did actually finally see a Digimon break it not that long ago. It was the secret rare Imperial Dramon Paladin mode from BT9 from the previous set, but that's it. That is the one and only Digimon we've seen that actually gets up to 16,000 power. So this is a big deal. It means you don't need to break the power tie between this and another level 7, other than the one we just mentioned, because you start off with 1,000 more power. That is a big deal. When you start off with a single solitary Digimon in the entire game that can match your power, that's a big thing. Now, the 7 cost to Digivolve is huge. I'll be honest with you, that is something else we don't see very much at all. We did see it on Imperial Dramon Paladin mode. We also saw it on Susanumon, the secret rare from BT7, but that could Digivolve from anything, so that was again special. But we do have a way around that. We'll get to that in a moment. So basically, it's very big in basically every possible manner. The good news is, if you've got an Alphamon, and that Alphamon has an Ouryumon in its evolution source, you can Digivolve for a free cost instead. And on the one hand, that is incredibly specific. On the other hand, you're Digivolving up into a giant level 7, and you're only paying free memory to do so, which is half of what you would generally pay to Digivolve into a level 7, or basically it's what you would pay to Digivolve into a level 6. Now it works. Now, in terms of Alphamon, we've got 2. We've got the one from BT6 that adds it to your hand as a security card. And then if you've got a Royal Knight or X-Antibody type in play, up to 12 of your opponent's Digimon can't attack players for the turn. And when attacking, you can pay up to 5 memory and gain 1,000 power for each memory paid. You also then gain 2 memory at the end of your attack. We also saw the Alphamon coming in this set in BT9. When you Digivolve, you can place an X-Antibody card, a card with X-Antibody in its traits, from your trash to the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards, and on your turn, once per turn, when you increase this Digimon's Digivolution cards by an effect, bearing in mind that is what X-Antibody cards try to do, you need Digivolve 1 to one of your opponent's Digimon. So you've got those 2 options. In terms of Ouryumon, unfortunately, we have fewer options. We've just got the one from BT8. When you Digivolve, you can place a Digimon card with X-Antibody in its type from your hand under this Digimon. Told you they like doing that. And then if you do delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 7 or less, and on your turn, once per turn, when you place a Digimon card under one of your Digimon as a Digivolution card, which we know X-Antibody like to do, this Digimon gains 2,000 power and cannot be deleted by your opponent's effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. But it's also got an inheritable skill that if this Digimon has Alphamon in its name, you unsuspend it. Translated proxies from the lovely folks over at digimoncard.dev. So my point here is very simple. This is great. And Ouryumon here is perfect. We knew there had to be something coming down the line, and incidentally, this is what people were saying had to be what was coming. Because the fact of the matter is, yes, it's X-Antibody, and yes, you can put them at the bottom of other Digimon. That's kind of what X-Antibody do. But by the same token, we needed something to Digivolve into. This is it. And like I told you, this is Alphamon Ouryuken. What that means is it's got Alphamon in its name. And that means you're unsuspending once per turn. At the end of your attack, you unsuspend. So if you do this properly, and let's face it, it's the only way to do this Digimon, right? It's the only way to do it. You need both those level 6s together, Digivolve for a free cost, have the inheritable skill. That's amazing. Do bear in mind they're both level 6s, yeah? That does need to be stated. Both Alphamon and Ouryuken here, they are level 6s, so you need to be playing around with the Digimon stuff. However, we already saw with Ouryuken, when you Digivolve, you can place a Digimon card with X-Antibody and its type from your hand under this Digimon. So essentially, you Digivolve into this, place Alphamon under it, then you can Digivolve up for a free cost. There are other ways that you can play around with X-Antibody cards in this way, and you have to, and it sucks. But you haven't got much of a choice. Unfortunately, this is the way it goes. Musha from BT8, on your turn, when your black Digimon with X-Antibody in its type attacks, you can suspend it to put a card with X-Antibody in its type from your hand under that Digimon. So here you attack with one of the level 6s, and then Musha will allow you to put the other level 6 under it. That is another option. It's the kind of thing that X-Antibody do, and unfortunately it's pretty gosh darned important. We've also got that option card whose name I'm not even going to try and pronounce, just not doing it, but that will also do a similar thing. It's not easy, but yeah, you kind of need to. Oh yeah, and then when you Digivolve, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. And this can backfire, this can absolutely backfire. But you're deleting all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. What that means is if you're against the Rookie Rush deck that's got a whole bunch of free cost Digimon and nothing else, they're all going down. But if your opponent is playing two 11,000 power Digimon, they both go down. And this is going to force your opponent to play in an awkward manner. Your opponent will often want to try and get more than one of the big level 6s out as you go through the game. Problem is, if they do that against this card, they risk losing both of them at the same time, which is clearly not what they want to do. And that's kind of the point here. And yes, it is all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play costs, but if you're having a bad start and you've got a bunch of 6-cost Digimon out, your opponent can get rid of all of them and put you back. So sure, it's good for getting rid of big Digimon, and let's not sleep on that. It is clearly really good for getting rid of big Digimon. It is also good at getting rid of little Digimon, if there are no big Digimon on the field. Now, I've said it could backfire. If your opponent's got one 11 cost out, but then a whole field full of smaller Digimon, you'll get the big one, and that's good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's clearly a good thing. But you're not going to wipe your opponent's board like you'd want to. And bearing in mind, we're talking about a Digimon that's either costing 7 to Digivolve, or you've got to have those two level 6s stacked together and then pay 3. This is not an easy Digimon to get out, not like a lot of them, but it's a pretty good skill when you get it, but it can backfire, and that's quite important. But there is another skill here as well. At the end of your turn, limited to once per turn, you may return up to 7 non-digit armor cards in this Digimon's evolution source with X-Antibody type to the bottom of your deck, and for each card returned to the bottom of your deck, gain a memory. Now, what you're essentially doing here is just rinsing your own evolution sources. Up to 7. Because remember, with X-Antibody, I've already shown you Ouryuken, I've shown you Musha. There are a bunch of ways to get extra cards on the bottom, so we do need to put a limit here. But you can essentially get rid of your own evolution sources. In a normal way, let's say you've got your level 3, your level 4, your level 5, your 2 level 6s, because you really should have your 2 level 6s. That's going to give you 5 non-Digitarma evolution sources, which means you're gaining 5 memory. But what this basically does is it gives you your turn back. So it gets to the end of your turn, it should go over to your opponent, but you can then get yourself up to 7 memory back, which puts it back to your turn. So not only do we have this giant Digimon with giant power, not only do we get to delete all of our opponent's Digimon with the highest cost, but we actually then end up in a situation where it gets to the end of our turn, we should be passing the turn over to our opponent, and then we get it back. We play an option card that should put it over to our opponent, and then our opponent goes, yeah, I'm starting a turn with 2 memory. Oh no, you're not. Because now all of a sudden I'm taking that memory back and here we go again. It's kind of ridiculous. And I don't just mean this skill, I mean the entire card. And we were waiting for this, right? This was one of these Digimon that we knew was coming. We knew we were secret rares or we were waiting for. We knew this was coming. We didn't know quite how good it was going to be. And I do think it's very specific. I think if you don't have those 2 specific level 6s, I do think things are going to be an awful lot worse than they would be otherwise. I don't think this is necessarily a card that you can just tech into a bunch of black decks and go with it. I think you need a little bit more, but by the same token, I think that's out there. I think if you're willing to go for it, I think this is absolutely going to be a top-tier deck and is going to make a big difference. And to be fair, even if you are just in a regular black deck and you're not playing the whole Alphamon thing, you still have a really good Digimon with a really good evolution skill and a really good end-of-turn skill, but you don't get the fact that you are unsuspending once every turn. And you don't get the cheap evolution, and it's just not as good. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is one we had to wait for. It was one we were excited about. And it turns out, being excited about this, yeah, that was the right call. This is a pretty gosh darned exciting card. But I want to know what you think. I've gushed about it enough. I want to know if you think it is gush worthy. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus pods, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.